Just 1 year before the Washington Territory became the state of Washington, the town of Kirkland was founded in 1888 by Seattle newspaper publisher Leigh Hunt and British-born businessman Peter Kirk. These entrepreneurs had a grandiose vision for Kirkland to become the Pittsburgh of the Pacific. Although their scheme for building a steel mill on the Lake Washington waterfront ultimately failed just prior to the financial panic of 1893, many who had come to work in the mill stayed on in the community. With the phenomenal growth of Seattle during the Klondike Gold Rush of 1896 and continuing settlement around Lake Washington, Kirkland prospered as the service and commercial center of the East Side. By the 1920s, Kirkland residents could buy a loaf of bread at the Kirkland Bakery for 12 cents, get a good steak at the Kirkland Hotel Cafe for 50 cents, or buy a Model A sedan for $660 at the Ford dealership. The downtown business district thrived, and the shipyards in Houghton were humming. The ferryboat Lincoln brought passengers and cars back and forth daily across the lake between Seattle and Kirkland. The first 2 decades of the 20th century had seen a large immigration to America from the British Isles. Professional people, tradesmen, and skilled craftsmen seeking new opportunities in the rapidly expanding Northwest. Some found their way to Kirkland. Among them were several devout Scotch-Irish families who brought their prayer books with them. Joined by other kindred souls, they began meeting in each other's homes for prayer and sociability, and from this, the idea for a new Episcopal Church was conceived. During 1922, Sunday meetings continued to be held in private homes, but for a time, services were held on a ship anchored in Moss Bay, a decommissioned, wooden-hulled vessel called the Fort Jackson, which served as the local American Legion headquarters. On January 1, 1923, 16 residents of Kirkland signed a petition to the Diocese of Olympia to formally organize the first Episcopalian mission on the East Side. They promised to conform to the doctrine, liturgy, and rites of the Protestant Episcopal Church and pledged at least $120 per year as a stipend towards a clergyman to be appointed by the bishop. 1 month later, on February 1, 1923, St. John's was officially granted mission status by the Right Reverend Frederick W. Keeter, the first bishop of the Diocese of Olympia. Soon thereafter, in July 1923, a building site was purchased from the town of Kirkland at the corner of 2nd Avenue and State Street. By December, a beautiful little church building had been completed at a cost of $1,500, equivalent to about $30,000 in 2023. Over the next few years, regular services were held Sunday afternoons by a succession of priests from established congregations in Seattle. In 1926, the Women's Guild at St. John's raised funds to add on a parish hall and later a kitchen to complete the little brown church that was St. John's outward identity for the next 25 years. From these humble beginnings, St. John's has grown over the decades to have a positive and life-giving impact on the lives of thousands of people. Despite a catastrophic fire that destroyed the Little Brown Church in 1953, and another major fire in May of 2000 that destroyed the original Marsh Hall and almost burned the sanctuary, the people of St. John's have always taken a leap of faith to rebuild bigger and better than before. But the church is not the buildings. It is the people, the saints of St. John's, who for the past 100 years have dedicated their time, talent, and treasure to support St. John's mission to seek and serve Christ in all persons. Saints remembered and saints forgotten. Saints who in small ways and large have always sought to create a welcoming and inclusive place of worship and fellowship. Saints who support one another in good times and bad. and saints who strive to enrich the Kirkland community with Christ's presence through our ministries. As we reflect on the past 100 years, it is natural to think about what God has in store for us for the next 100 years. What new challenges will we be called to take on? What will be the legacy that today's saints of St. John's will leave to the Kirkland community of the next century? We continue to discern and implement ways to fully extend Christ's hand to all persons in our growing and changing community. And with God's grace, St. John's will continue to be a community for hope.